Oh yeah, my bad. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This year has taught me a lot. I had a lot of ups and downs in this past year, but I finally feel like I'm becoming me, the closest, truest version of myself. Although it took me a lot of wrong turns, U-turns, rights when it was supposed to be left, and lefts when it was supposed to be right, but I can finally say I feel like I'm at home, or at least on my way to it. I started last year with an unstable state of mind. My wellness was very dependent on people around me and how they were instead of how I was. I was always giving instead of actually receiving or being reciprocated. But now I feel like I've stabilized my mind somewhat and grown independent. And again, I feel at home, or at least on my way to it. One thing that this year has taught me is discipline. Discipline over motivation and discipline over inspiration. I feel like there's been many times where I believe that I've been inspired or motivated, and when I start doing something and the inspiration's over, I fail to continue to work on it. Things like projects or even day-to-day tasks, when I lose the inspiration, I just stop doing them. But I think that's where discipline comes in, and that's where it excels, where if I discipline myself and I have to do these things and I have to make my bed or I have to keep working on this project that I really believe in, then finally it could lead to a finished product and not a halfway idea or just a thought in my head, but actually a flesh item. Another thing I learned this year is organization. Little things that I didn't find value in before, like to-do list and keeping ideas organized and making systems. Those things are so important to me now that they weren't a couple months ago. I feel like some lessons are definitely learned earlier than others, but quite recently organizing has just meant so much to me these past few months. I literally live and die by my to-do list. I mean, if it's not on my to-do list, I probably won't do it, but I really do believe in daily routines and routines in general. I know a lot of people don't like following a routine, but personally, I find myself in very much routine every day, and I love it. But I would have to say the most important lesson I've learned this year is something that's been told to me this year repeatedly, but I wish I did learn this before, or at least listened and analyzed it. But I mean, I'm glad I understand it now. Better than not understanding it at all. But the lesson is that you could be your best friend, but your worst enemy as well. And I believe it's like a little mini paradox, I guess you could call it. But I found it very true in this last year. There's been so many times where I've been on my lowest and I wouldn't seek any help, or I wouldn't help myself. I just gathered in and shielded all in and caved in all I was feeling and all the emotions I had, which overall just made me worse. And I just kept digging myself a hole, a deeper and deeper hole, falling more into the rabbit hole. But just like how I was digging myself into that hole, I was the one that helped myself out. And that's when I was my best friend, when I actually wanted help and I sought help. I didn't just cave in. I opened up more and started communicating more to the people around me, the good people around me. Obviously, there was bad people around me and they had to go, but the good people, the people who only mean good for you and are actually there to help you. And sometimes they're there to help you, but you just have to open up to them a little, and they're willing to help you because obviously they can't know everything that's going on in your head. But when I became my best friend, that's when I started valuing myself a little more and seeing what I was worth for me, not for the people around me or not for any other, problem I had or whatnot. But if you had to take away anything from this video, I would for sure say to love yourself. I feel like in this past year, I've learned to love myself before I love others. And I know the corny saying, you have to love yourself before you can love others, but this year has really taught me that has meaning, and that is true. So I would say, obviously, don't become a selfish person. Still do things for others if it's out of your own liking. If you feel like you should do that, help others, but start giving yourself the worth you deserve and the worth you need. Because trust me, everyone is worthy and everyone has their value to them. And I do believe everything happens for a reason. So even if you're going through something tough or something you can't really explain, that's happened a lot to me this year. Things that I couldn't really explain. People ask what or why, and I would just sit there with a blank face, not knowing what to say, not knowing how to translate my emotions into words. But that just comes with helping yourself and helping yourself change those little habits and feel better. So, like I said earlier, if everything happens for a reason, why did you click on this video?
I love you, Charlie. I love you.